I can't find the words to explain to you how good these pro gamers are.
He's actually stimming his units as he leaves the base. He's trying to get so many other players' space that there's not even time for the Bailings to finish.
Naniwa's got his army split up. He's got one attack on the right-hand side. Another chasing down the army. Storms come down.
These are the best of the best in esports history.
And Huck's starting to blink forward as the Zealots are removed. The supply goes in Huck's favor.
So much energy. Where did that energy come from? Tanks desperately trying to target fire down Queens.
The Archon's moving forward. A lot is going down here, and only Colossus left over.
He's starting to get some feedbacks down. He's starting to advance forward. Another vortex.
There's the blink forward, trying to get underneath those Brood Lords. Oh, he sends the vortex.
Are you ready?
Ladies and gentlemen, hello from the MLG studios here in New York City, and welcome back to the Winter Season Showdowns. My name is axeltoss. I am joined by axslav. How you doing, man?
I'm doing excellent. We've seen so many players already qualify for Dallas.
Yes.
It's nearing to a close. Just a couple more matches left. Today is going to be one of the last ones. Killer versus QXC. Both monsters. I said it last week. I think this is going to be a great match. QXC so dynamic with his Terran play.
Of course, going through the North Americans, we currently are in the Winter Season Showdowns, where pretty much every single day at 5 p.m. Eastern, we have a Heart of the Swarm best of 5 to determine who will advance to the Winter Championship event in Dallas, Texas on March 15th. And you said it. Today is going to be Killer versus QXC. These guys have such unique play styles. I mean, QXC people might be more familiar with. It feels weird to say that because they're both very well known. But QXC, he's on all the shows talking about Heart of the Swarm, talking about Terran. He's the one coming up with those newer strategies, incorporating all these new units into his play styles. I remember not too long ago when we were doing the I had a little segment like a month ago where actually he was one of the first players I brought on to actually talk about Heart of the Swarm and the new units that Terran has available to them, and we had a nice little discussion revolving around that. So QXC has been appropriating a lot of time to Heart of the Swarm. Killer, on the other hand, I'm sure he has as well. Of course, he's now a part of Clarity Gaming, and he realizes how important this match is. It's a best of 5 to determine again who gets that spot at the championship. Yeah, I bet Killer has been playing a lot of Heart of the Swarm to prepare for this.
He does, and he has a style of his own. It's going to be exciting to see his kind of own flavor of STARCRAFT in Heart of the Swarm, because we've seen some of these South American players. They have a pretty unique style. We saw that from Phoenix earlier in the North American qualifiers, and now we'll see Killer's kind of brand of play.
Yeah, of course, guys, just a reminder, if you miss any single game, if you miss it live, you can check out our YouTube channel, youtube.com/official MLGSC2. Every single game from the Winter Season Showdowns is there, available in full 1080p HD, and if you're feeling generous, please feel free to drop a subscription while you're there if you appreciate the content and the coverage that MLG provides to you. Here we are in game number 1 of this oh-so-important best of 5. In the top right-hand location, we have the red Terran player from Team Complexity, very well-known North American for his drop-heavy style and crazy, at times, tactics. He's the red Terran player, QXC. His opponent in the bottom left-hand location was on Dignitas for a very long time before switching over to Clarity Gaming. Of course, the Chilean, he is Killer. Not to be confused with the Korean. I think there's a Korean Killer?
There is. It hasn't been active super recently in events as far as I know. But Killer, the non-Korean Killer,
yes,
the Chilean one, he recognizes QXC's sometimes likes to be really aggressive early. So if you notice, his drone scout was checking for proxy locations. Now it's going to head towards QXC's base. He really wants to get into main and see if QXC is getting gas or not, because there's so many different tools the Terran has to can throw at a Zerg player that if you know whether or not they're getting gas, you can at least narrow down their range of options to some extent. And while many Zergs prefer just to go straight economy, get that hatchery first and figure out later, against QXC, I think Killer is probably pretty smart to get that scouting done early.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Of course, you can kind of start guessing what your opponent's going to throw at you. If you can scout that early gas, you can eliminate some things as well. So still, wow, the drone actually tried to take down that SCV. One little spit away from dying there from that drone, down to 5 HP. He's going to go back and mine some minerals. Barracks is done, and a Reaper going to be opening up here from QXC. We'll have to see if he... No, he's not sending an SCV across the map. Some Terrans will do that and try to get a sneaky bunker down beside their, like behind their opponent's mineral line, or maybe in between the hatchery and the mineral line. But looks like QXC is not electing to do that. Just going to get the Reaper to get some early map control and try to get a minimum amount of scouting done.
The other nice thing the Reaper can do is you can usually get at least a couple kills, if not drones, and maybe some Zergings when you force those out, or soften with the Queen or do something. Although he is going to stop at one Reaper, so probably not going to have too much damage dealt there. Expect to see Command Center being thrown down shortly for QXC as he's building up a lot of minerals.
Yeah, Reaper Expand used to require a tech lab, but for those of you new to Heart of the Storm, perhaps it's your first time watching the Winter Season Showdowns, I feel a little bit bad for you, but I also feel amazing for you because that means there are about 70 VODs available for you on the YouTube channel that you can go back and watch in 1080p if you missed anything. But yeah, of course, tech lab is no longer required for that Reaper, so QXC isn't performing any magic tricks.
A really neat little trick there by Killer, saving a drone by building an extractor, of course, canceling it later because he did not want it.
Nope.
He's also mining gas against the Reaper. It is really useful to get that Zerging speed because you have no way to keep up with the Reaper otherwise. In fact, another drone here is going to come under fire. Reaper backing up, though, not wanting to fully commit there and potentially get surrounded by Zergings.
And it's only one Reaper. QXC decided not to continue making those, instead electing to invest any additional gas into that faster factory. Of course, so we can go into potential Widowmine, Hellion, Hellbat type play, and just get a nice transition going. Maybe, you know, an engineering bay and upgrades. But, you know, QXC not focusing a bunch on just producing a bunch of Reapers and taking out his opponent. Just getting it for scouting and again, to be a little bit annoying. Meanwhile, Killer, working on speed, has about 8 lings on the field. Income tab should be interesting. Okay, 22 to 22, so no significant advantages either way. And, you know, back home, there's the command center from QXC about to finish up, adding on another factory.
Yeah, second factory reactor.
Probably a tech lab, the barracks, I bet.
Oh, we could. I mean, Heart of the Storm, you could see it either way. In Wings Liberty, it usually used to be a blue flame opener with that tech lab, like you mentioned. But Heart of the Storm, I have no idea what he's going to do. Looks like he's going to get a couple more Marines for now, try to keep those overlords at bay. Also wants to get at least a couple to fill in that barracks so speeding run-bys aren't quite as threatening. The great thing for Killer is he saw that second factory. So he's immediately building that Roach Warren, you know, aware that Hellions in significant numbers can be a great threat.
Yeah, great scouting from Killer, to be completely honest. Able to scout both the factories and his opponent's main base and the barracks. Also knows about that national expansion as well. He's going to be making some drones behind this, as you said, adding on the Roach Warren. The third base is also down and starting to take those gases. Now, the question is QXC's plan. Is he going to, obviously going to make some tanks, I would imagine, or he could go for that blue flame play, of course. In Heart of the Storm, you no longer require siege mode to make tanks, you know, enable tanks to siege, but it is going to be continual Hellion production, so are we going to see blue flame?
We very well could. There was some fancy micro there. QXC taking out most of Killer's Zerglings with that great engagement. Now going to shark around, look, try to do some damage over here at the third. Killer's getting some roaches though, and he's got his naturals pretty secure there with the Queen and the roach production going on. QXC probably not going to get too much done right here with this first wave.
Yeah, just trying to be a little bit annoying, mostly just trying to scout and see what his opponent is up to, maybe cause his opponent to make units instead of drones. But the real attack is going to happen in about, how long? 100 STARCRAFT seconds when blue flame finishes.
Yes, and there's armories coming down as well, which means after that blue flame upgrade, we may even see something like the Morph the Hellbat upgrade going on. But look, the Hellions getting to the main.
Yeah, they're going straight to the main base. Drones are going to be on the run. QXC in a hot pursuit with those Hellions, trying to take down as many Hellions as possible. Keep in mind, he's sacrificing a lot here to do this, so he has to get a lot of drone kills, throwing away a lot of Hellions. But I think Killer's doing a decent job unless his natural gets exposed. QXC going straight for those drones, trying to get those money shots off, but that could have been much worse for Killer.
It could have been. I think a fairly even trade here. QXC actually canceled the blue flame upgrade because he realized that what was happening is he was going in and you know, he would lose most of his Hellions before it finished anyway. Now he's got the armory up, so he can just transform into Hellbat mode if he wants to get that extra damage done.
All right, a third factory on the way and another tech lab. So it looks like QXC is going the route that is mech, adding on a third command center, prioritizing gas income at that natural expansion. Really going to be prioritizing the upgrades out of the armor as well. I wouldn't be surprised if he added on a second one as well. Definitely keep an eye on that. But yeah, he's going to have 2 factories with tech labs on them, and he's going to have a factory with a reactor on them, and I don't think he's going to be done producing those. So we'll keep an eye on that too. Hellions, again, going to the main base, really trying to go after Killer's economy. Drones are going to be on the run. Can QXC get that money shot that he needs? Killer doing a great job so far, deflecting the potential of this Hellion aggression, even trapping those Hellions to a certain extent. But no, they're going to swing around the back. Drone's going to be vulnerable once again. Killer having a little bit of a headache dealing with this, but again, the drones are going to get away.
Killer's developed a significant roach count, now getting roach speed, +1 melee, or sorry, +1 range attack, +1 carapace as well. So we could see some counter aggression from Killer. Of course, QXC only has 2 siege tanks right now, just now adding 2 more factories. Going to try to build that siege tank count because he does need to take that 3rd base, but as soon as he takes that 3rd base, he's going to be much more spread out and vulnerable to these roaches.
Yes, absolutely. And we see the Harvester tab 56 to 50. So QXC actually doing a great job limiting his opponent's drone count with that Hellion harassment. We see 12 roaches on the field here from Killer. And I want to look at his vision really quick just to see what he's scouted. Oh, he's scouting right now with an overseer, going to see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 factories. He sees that 3rd command center, so Killer knows everything that's happening. Ooh, that's a starport, not a factory. So, you know, Killer should be... You know, he obviously has an idea of the direction his opponent wants to go, and now it's going to come down to him reacting appropriately to what he sees.
The question from here is okay, there. Killer's starting to add some more drones in. I was questioning, he was hesitating on his drone production a little bit there, developing all those upgrades. I was thinking, is he going to go for a big attack here? He's getting overlord speed. No drop tech yet, but that could be a possibility, as he does have a significant Roach Hydra army. And using drops is a great way to counteract that high range of siege tanks.
Oh yeah, and if you can get, you can even use drop to try to jump into your opponent's main base and go after the production, which can be a great way to deal with mech, considering it's not the most mobile composition in the world. And we'll have to see what Killer does here. I mean, Infestation Pit is on the way. Of course, you know, that leads to that Hive and then potential Vipers. You know, Roach, Hydra, Viper is a very strong composition. I feel like against, you know, against tanks, against a mech army. Of course, Blinding Cloud as well, very effective against a large amount of siege tanks. So perhaps that's the direction Killer wants to go. Meanwhile, QXC securing that 3rd base, again, prioritizing those gases. Might even drop a 4th command center down fairly soon if he hasn't already. But just adding on a sensor tower, adding on some turrets in his main base. Of course, you always have to be worried about the potential threat of Mutalisks, and it looks like that is not going to take QXC off guard if that eventually does happen.
Not just the Mutas, but a drop possibly as well, covering both angles there. Adding a 2nd armor and cranking out Widow Mines 5 at a time right now as QXC really wants to use those to supplement his army, knowing that they're very, very, very good at defeating Roach Hydras when you combine them with siege tanks.
No drilling claws just yet. I feel like he's definitely going to mine that once he has the extra gas, or going to research that. Once he has the extra gas, Hellion's trying to sneak by once again into the 3rd base, into the natural expansion. But again, Killer all game long has been doing okay against the amount of Hellions that have been thrown at him. But if we think about it, QXC, he's worried about the gas right now. He's okay with losing Hellions here and there as long as he's threatening the economy of his opponent.
Hellion's very replaceable. QXC now adding in more and more missile turrets, making sure there's no chance of drops getting through that missile turret line. Also adding in 2 medevacs so we could see some Hellbat drops, some Widowmine drop play, or even just using those medevacs to heal up his Hellbats during an actual engagement.
All right, Killer coming across the map here to his opponent's watchtower. Plenty of roaches and hydras here, and 2 Ravens or 2 starports being added on. Oh, okay, they are. I thought he canceled it, but no, the production tab is just moving around on me. Raven transition, possibly? I'd love that.
It's definitely a possibility. It's still no drilling claws.
You've been loving your Ravens.
I love Master Ravens. Every time I play Terran, if I get to late game, I Master Ravens, and then eventually I win. Just a matter of time.
Yeah, just a matter of time. Yeah, against all the races.
Yeah, I mean, Secret Missiles outrange everything in the game. So, well, except for Tempest, which PDDs completely nullify. So,
yep.
Raven's very, very, very strong in the late game, but you need a lot of gas to get them.
Yes,
QXC with only 6 geysers. He's going to be looking to take a 7th, 8th, even a 9th and a 10th. You can see that there's a command center fishing over his natural. That'll probably lift off and go to the middle location. They're going to Planetary Fortress. There's another command center being built. Constant command center production while keeping his opponent on the back foot with that Hellion harass.
Killer able to secure this base in the middle of the map. Again, prioritizing those gases. Vipers are now in production. We might even see him throw down extra evolution chambers. And we see another drop from QXC in the main base. He's everywhere. See, still he hasn't got any workers killed from the beginning of the game. Also a Greater Spire on the way here from Killer. So wanting to go into Broodlords, and we're seeing Ravens, again, in production here from QXC. Keep an eye on the starports, and now sending that 4th command center to the middle of the map. But is Killer going to let this happen?
He's going to try to stop it, and right now he may be able to, but once those tanks all get in position, Widowmine's coming in from both sides.
Well, QXC's got to be careful here.
Yeah, he's got to be, you got to be very deliberate in how you approach this. You know, if you kind of leapfrogging the tanks, or at least getting the Hellbats in front of the tanks. There's 5 Widowmines. If Killer walks too far south, he will get destroyed by those. A massive mech force is going to just absolutely push Killer on the back foot here.
QXC realizes how important this base is to secure those bases. The gas is so important, but look at this. Killer going to turn around and try to engage here, walking through his own Blinding Cloud. You have to be careful about that. Blinding Cloud's continuing to follow QXC's army, slowly running out of energy. Is Killer. The Hydra's going to try to peck down this command center. He might be successful. Killer doing a great job denying this 4th base.
He really is. You know, QXC has had a hard time organizing his army. He's got all his Widowmines and some Hellbats in the south, whereas the rest of his army is in the north. He really needs to group that up together. Mech is not an army that fights as well when it's as split up as it is right now.
All right, QXC's starting to float a little bit on the minerals, considering he's unable to secure that 7th and 8th gas that he desperately needs. So he's probably going to be prioritizing the Hellion production and Viking production, perhaps Raven production as well. Of course, the Vikings to deal with the Vipers, a great tool for that. And then Raven's just good in general. But yeah, prioritize the Vikings. We've got 4 in production, still trying to secure that 4th, but I gotta say, Killer is doing a really good job preventing that from going down behind this, making a lot of Broodlords, going into Corruptor production as well as continuing with those upgrades.
Killer's done an amazing job of slowing this down. And the thing is, the Sword Tiger army, well, you know, he doesn't want to give it away. He's really looking to replace it with the high-tech units now. And the more tanks he can force QXC to make, the weaker QXC is going to be against that Broodlord composition. That is what Killer's trying to transition into.
QXC almost caught a drone transfer there.
Oh, now he knows about the Broodlords, though.
He spotted the Broodlords, so going to be able to react appropriately by making additional Vikings, also mixing in a lot more Widowmines. So QXC really prioritizing those Widowmines. Killer going to try to engage here, but the Widowmines taking some nice shots as well as the tanks. And QXC, is he finally going to get this 4th up?
Oh, some more Widowmines going off on the south of the Zerg forces, taking another chunk of those. The Broodlords are coming, and QXC wants to set up that 4th, but without Drilling Claws, Widowmines have a hard time approaching the Broodlords.
All right, there are Vikings here, so let's see if QXC decides to bring over. There they are. Going to be scanning. He has Hunter Seekers available as well. Let's check this out. QXC up 190 to 171 in supply, trying to posture correctly against this Broodlord Hydra Corruptor army. Hunter Seeker missile might be instrumental here, as well as point defense drones to negate the Corruptor shots. QXC scanning again, trying to set up this planetary, and he's been trying all game long to get this 4th down. Will he finally secure it? Already minding the gas there.
Of course, going straight for the gas, the most important part. Now he's got his army in front of that planetary so he can keep it safe. Still, he's got a lot of units back as natural. Plenty of Widowmines, plenty of Siege Tanks, so he's very, very spread out. Of course, with Siege Tanks, it's generally a good idea to spread units out as much as possible, but he's got to make sure he's always got enough Siege Tanks to protect his Vikings and his Ravens from the ground forces of Killer.
Killer adding on Overseers in a lot of to this competition, realizing that his opponent is prioritizing those Widowmines. Big engagement going to happen here. Hunter Seeker missiles going out here from QXC, hitting the Corruptors. Huge explosions there. QXC cutting into that supply of Killer. He's down to 145, but Killer continuing to press forward. Blinding Cloud going onto the tanks, going onto the Planetary Fortress, but here come more Widowmines trying to get underneath those Broodlords. The Overseer is still alive, so they're going to be able to be detected, but now they are underground and safe. No more Overseers are left, and Killer is going to have to be on the run.
QXC's pushing forward. So many Vikings. The Broodlords are too slow to back away.
Wow.
And QXC is going to clean this army up.
Great job there. Taking down all the Broodlords, and now QXC has accomplished what he wanted. He got this 4th base down. He got a nice engagement. He's going to be up in supply, and now he's starting to produce a bunch of Ravens. That was an awesome Hunter Seeker missile. A couple Hunter Seeker missiles there, taking care of a lot of Killer's army, but Killer going to try to transition into Ultras. QXC, meanwhile, making 7 Hellions. Look at his minerals. So he can make Hellions a billion at a time and just keep sending them across the map, because that's going to be worth it for him if he can even get 1 drone kill.
And in fact, he's trying to get a couple here, but nice moves by Killer, keeping those drones dipping and dodging away. Hellions are there to try to keep an eye on also what composition Killer is going for now. You know, he lost the 1 army, but he's been on so many bases for so long. He had plenty of bank to rebuild a new one. I don't know if QXC knows that in this case it's going to be Ultraless.
Now, Killer has yet to add on any Infestors. Instead, going for Vipers and Ultras. Do you think he should be adding a few more of those, or does the Hydra kind of take that place in the army as far as anti-air is concerned?
You know, it's not really clear. of course, fungal growth isn't as viable against the mech units. It's still very, very, very strong against either mass Hellbats, which QXC hasn't gone for yet, or the Vikings, if you can get it to connect with the Vikings. That's where kind of the dancing tanks and Vikings go into play. Killer going for the brute force tactic, though, just plenty of straight combat units.
All right, Killer pressing forward. At the same time, we have some Hellions lurking at the top of the map. SCV's being very brave here, just chilling. And of course, Hunter Seeker missiles going down onto the Hydras, and the rest of us fizzling out because the Hydras were able to get out of range. And QXC landing the Vikings to try to deal with this army from Killer, having to lift off all of his command centers to deal with this, sending in Widow Mines as well, and the tanks finally being returned back to try to handle this attack. But Killer going straight into his opponent's natural expansion. Meanwhile, the Hellions going to be returning back to try to deal with this. Interesting that they're not making themselves into Hellbats. I feel like that would be slightly more effective against those Ultras. But it looks like QXC should eventually hold this up. Doesn't want to lose any Ravens for free, though.
Got to be very, very careful. They're quite important units. And you know, he holds this off. He had to lift a lot of buildings.
Yeah.
But I think he's actually okay with that because all it does is it delays mining time. But the way this game's going is kind of turning out. They're splitting the map. Delayed mine time is not a big deal. It's all about cost efficiency. If you take a look at the units lost tab, you can see here that QXC is being slightly more cost efficient than his opponent. He still wants to try to get even more cost efficient though, because Killer does have one of those crucial central bases. Perhaps he needs to get drilling claws so his Widow Mines can be a little more effective. Or maybe try to just build up that Raven count.
I'm really surprised he hasn't gotten that yet.
Yeah, he's used a lot of Widow Mines, but they've had a hard time burrowing in time because he hasn't quite gotten that upgrade yet.
Continuing to add on Ravens and tanks here.
I also don't think he's gotten any air weapons upgrades. Or no, he has one. He has one. Perhaps maybe, well, yeah, it's hard to tell how effective those are and how important those are versus other gas methods.
QXC getting a lot of drones here. Workers killed up to 23 now. But Killer still has 73 Harvesters. QXC at 58, but I think he's going to be okay with that considering the number of orbital commands he has on the field. I think he has about 4 or 5.
The switch back to Broodlords was revealed. Hellions poked in there, Broodlords pushed them away, but that means that QXC is now producing more and more Vikings. Widow Mines are being produced. The Widow Mines, if you can get the Drilling Claws upgrade, you can actually run underneath the Broodlords and burrow them, and
yes.
Broodlords are too slow. And with the Widow Mines will not be focused if there's other units there, because they have a low target priority when they're unburrowed. So if QXC can just get that upgrade, they can be a devastating counter to the Broodlord composition.
Research Drilling Claws. Do it.
He's got another little Hellion squad coming out here, heading towards the top left base. 3 Spine Crawlers there should defend that without too much of a problem. But you can see here, QXC set this massive tank line extending from the middle of the map all the way down to the bottom right.
That's awesome.
As soon as this bottom right planter turns into, or bottom right command center turns into a planetary, that'll pretty much be the unstoppable wall of
the great
QXC.
wall of QXC.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Adding on 2 more starports, and there's a fusion core.
And now he's getting to air weapons +2. If he goes into battle cruisers, those are almost impossible for Zerg players to counter now without the infested Terrans getting those attack upgrades, as long as you keep them protected from the Corruptors. Oh, look
QXC
at this.
sending a force up to the north, drilling. The Widow Mine's going to be burrowing as a possible defense. Still doesn't have drilling claws.
Yeah, which makes the burrow a little bit slower, but as long as they're all pre-burrowed,
yeah,
it's not the biggest difference. But that little Widow Mine trap there could pay huge dividends if, for example, a herd of Corruptors walks over it, or Infestors, they come in. But QXC now decides to pull those guys out there, aware that Killer probably knows about that location and will kill those Widow Mines if they stay in play.
QXC still scanning, trying to make sure he can correctly estimate his opponent's unit composition. It looks like it's the tried and true Infestor, Broodlord, Corruptor that Killer is going for. QXC knows about all of this. He's sending some tanks for it, as well as some Widow Mines. Might try to get some up close with those Widow Mines again and try to burrow underneath those Corruptors. But
I've never seen a fungal Widow Mine until just now.
Yeah, there you go.
Pretty nifty, and he's going to slowly siege this position. And of course, Broodlords can take out these siege positions, but you got to be careful because there's Ravens and Vikings, and if the Corruptors try to fly in there, the Widow Mines can't take them out, although if he launches Broodlings, that should take most of the Widow Mine hits.
Now, QXC has a sizable bank right now, so he's going to be trying to trade cost efficiently so he can get the more powerful units. 100 Seeker trying to go down onto the Infestors. Will it fizzle out? Yes, it will.
Little bit of a game of playing the ranges right here. Vikings Snap off one
The
unit.
Widowmines might get some good shots off. The Corruptor's going right underneath them. Decent shots there from the Widowmines. Hunter Seeker's trying to go down again onto the Corruptor's Killer, trying to split him off, and both Hunter Seekers are going to fizzle off as the Corruptors were able to get out of range. Killer trying to be aggressive here. QXC replacing the dead tanks with more Ravens, with more Battlecruisers, more Vikings, and with more Widowmines, but can those get out in time to defend against this push here from Killer?
Meanwhile, QXC's realizing that Killer is so heavily invested in air, the ground's worth not as, he doesn't need as many siege tanks as he did before. Using the siege tanks, knock out the top left base, a brilliant use of them, and that's really going to hurt Killer's income.
Killer going to try to be aggressive here, realizing the army might be a bit stronger considering half of his, a lot of QXC supplies at the top, but 400 Seeker missiles going down here from QXC, and Killer not splitting up his units. Great destruction here from QXC's Hunter Seekers. He's laying down more and more of them, and look at that, so many Broodlords and Corruptors falling, but Killer still has a significant amount. QXC trying to send in the Widowmines, trying to bring forward the reinforcements, trying to throw down the point defense drones. Another Hunter Seeker going down onto the Corruptor. Killer just absorbing them at this point, but now he's getting those key Raven kills, and QXC is going to lose his 4th base, potentially.
The Broodlord count is, they are fairly damaged. QXC's got a lot of food, but it's all in units being produced right now, and those siege tanks pushing the middle. QXC may lose his middle base, but he's taking out top left. He's and these tanks are pushing through the middle, although it looks like the Zerglings will defend. But as those tanks die, QXC's replacing them more and more and more air units. Now tanks hitting across the bottom of the map. He's going to strike it at 6 o'clock with another squad of tanks.
Yeah, QXC again just trying to make decent trades, trying to get rid of these tanks, trying to invest more into that air composition. The Planetary Fortress finally getting taken down there. But Killer, at the end of it all, up 187 to 148 in supply. And these tanks are tanks versus drones. I haven't seen that I haven't seen that, actually, period.
Not too common of a battle here. QXC, though, look at this Air Force he's rebuilt. He's got battle cruisers, he's got Vikings, he's got Ravens. No Yamato cannon, though, so the battle cruisers are going to be not quite as effective.
Might try to get some Hunter Seekers. QXC coming forward once again has to be so careful. Needs point defense drones to deal with the Corruptors. There go the Hunter Seekers onto the Corruptors. Battle cruisers trying to be effective as well, but Killer doing a great job here, taking down pretty much everything that's thrown at him. QXC, I think, has he dealt with all the Corruptors?
Yeah, the Corruptors are gone. There's still
no.
Vikings and battle cruisers. The Broodlords are at their mercy. The Planetary has fallen, but all these Broodlords are going to go down as well. A pair of Infestors coming in, see if they can help out. Joined by some more of their comrades. This is an Infestor count that may be able to defend these Broodlords. QXC's choosing not to pursue.
Well, QXC's now running out of resources here. His 3rd base is essentially mined out. Only the gas is mining there. The 4th base has been denied so often. Now the bottom right getting denied. Another mega engagement is going to happen here. Buckles going down onto the Vikings, and the Battlecruisers. Killer slowly but surely taking out every single unit from QXC. QXC trying to stay alive with those Hunter Seekers. The Corruptor being sent into QXC's own army, trying to send that Hunter Seeker right back at him. And QXC getting lower and lower in supply. He's not keeping those expensive units alive.
Yeah, he's having a really hard time grouping his army, too. He's got Widowmines still in the natural. He's got Widowmines. He's got a horde of Vikings in the natural that haven't been taking place at all. He's got to group his army and then try to destroy Killer's army and then knock out the 6 o'clock base.
He's got to keep those Ravens alive. Got to let them accumulate their energy. His Air Force is getting smaller and smaller. And I don't know if he has a good response to Killer's air army right now. We got, what, 7... Units tab might be easier. 7 Corruptors, 6 Broodlords, 5 Infestors versus 4 Ravens, 1 Battlecruiser, and 9 Vikings. Okay, 9 Vikings, that's a good count to have, but you gotta not get funkled. That's important.
So much of QXC's armies in those 12 Widowmines, but in these late game engagements, for the Widowmines to be effective, you really need that Drilling Claws upgrade.
It has to be a mistake that he has.
Yeah, I think he thinks he got it or something, but if the Widowmines are staying in a defensive posture, you're going to be burned on Broodlings, on Infested Terrans, on units that you don't really want. If you can run those under the Broodlords, then you can just do absolutely insane damage, but it's very hard to do without that upgrade, and QXC's suffering for it here. But Hellion's coming across the top of the base. I don't know if this is going to help him, though, because, I mean, he's going to kill a lot of drones.
Yeah.
But
maybe even all of them.
Oh, actually, he can just kill a Spine Crawler.
Oh, he could?
Yeah.
Oh, all his drones.
Yeah, the Spine Crawler's almost dead. So this is actually going to be effective. He doesn't want to just suicide Hellions anymore, though, because he is short of minerals. But this was a very, very effective attack. Took out plenty of drones and got away with only a couple Hellion losses.
One of those Hellions has 13 kills, and he is the MVP of that grouping. Nice job there from QXC. Going to be retaking this 4th base. So many mules being dropped down there, but he has to start thinking about taking this bottom right-hand base or this top middle, trying to secure the top middle, but Killer is there with some roaches and an overseer. Now we're getting to a very important part of the game where these guys are getting low on resources, and every single unit is going to count, which means every single engagement these guys have is going to count. The value of the Raven, the value of the Infestor is going to be so important here. The value of the Queen, even transfusing Broodlords, transfusing Infestors, transfusing each other, transfusing Corruptors, is going to be seen here as these guys aren't going to be as able to replenish their armies as they once were.
Talking about every unit being effective, QXC still has 2 tanks in his main with a pair of Marines. I think he's got to bring all his units together and try to either, like you said, take the bottom right base or the top middle.
Also some SCVs just chilling, not doing anything. QXC, get your workers to work. We got a tank dealing with this base at the bottom right command center overhead, wanting to land.
Audacious hatchery, one could say, but I like it. I mean, because he thought,
if anything, it delays the crew.
Yeah, and what he did is he took his hatchery when he saw QXC trying to take that top middle base. If QXC sent his whole army was trying to consolidate top middle, it would be a very good move for Killer to mine from his bottom right for as long as possible, because every mineral he mines from that bottom right location is a mineral less when QXC eventually tries to take it.
This tank is feeling very sad, but look at that Widowmine shot against those Lings, doing a ridiculous amount of damage, depleting the lean count in about a second. And now QXC knows exactly where his opponent is. How can he take advantage of this?
Well, he's going to want to knock out this hatchery to top middle. He's trying to do that. The other thing he does is he's going to see exactly the composition, a scanner to confirm it. And now he's trying to think, what should I make to beat his composition? And then he realizes he doesn't have any money, so that choice is pretty much out of his hands right now. He's got to try to make a move on taking another base.
He's trying to get rid of Killer's drone count, but Killer's been so on top of his drone production, still at 51, which is an okay count for this point in the game, considering there's not that many mineral lines to work with. And as you said, QXC needs to focus on securing another base. He has to decide, okay, do I want to go to top middle or bottom right?
He's mobilized, but he's still left 2 tanks in his, actually 3 tanks in his main. He still left most of his Widow Mines. If he tries to fight with just a small portion of his army, he could be in for a rough surprise.
All right, Killer is not feeling confident.
Oh, there's the Widow Mines coming down.
They have drilling claws?
No, there's no drilling claws in. They still take 3 seconds to burrow.
I promise, when I see that in the production tab, I will be a very happy camper.
I don't think it's going to happen at this point. But he does have a good air force. He does have a lot of Widow Mines spread out. He's missing some of his tanks, but if he can get good Seeker missiles, he can turn this game around.
I wish I could zoom out more. I really wish I could.
Oh, good little roach run by the natural, and now all those tanks in the main may prove useful. Well, actually, just the one in the natural will be fine. The 2 in the main can still hang out there.
Yeah, Killer going for the counterattacks here, so QXC knows what he's doing.
Yeah, he had this. There we go. Well, and yeah, he's got the 2 Marines and tanks. Deal with these little counterattacks.
Securing this bottom right. Look at all those mules being dropped down there.
Oh, and that is what he needs. He needs to get that money because he needs to add in some more units. Battle Cruiser is going to be his unit of choice. Does he have the Emoto cannons for those, though? Those are extremely effective against Broodlords, as they do one-hit kill those Broodlords.
Would go check. I don't want to miss this.
No, not quite yet.
This battle, though, the Ravens coming forward, very tense situation. Each unit is so important at this point in time as these guys get quite low on resources on the mining basis. Vikings from QXC trying to kite as effectively as possible. We have Hunter Seekers getting ready to be thrown down here from QXC as well. Has to time it right, though. QXC coming forward, the Ravens, but Killer coming forward as well. Hunter Seekers go down onto the Broodlords everywhere and backing up the Ravens. Exactly what he needs to do, exploding into the Broodlords. And now the Corruptors coming up from the left as well. More Hunter Seekers going down. But look at the Hunter Seekers into the Corruptors, and most of the Corruptors will fall. QXC now 134 to 114 in supply. Explosions everywhere. QXC trying to kite back with the Vikings. And I think he's going to come out on top there. 117 to 96 supply, but this base at the bottom right,
queens.
It's going to get thrown away.
Yeah, I mean, he may come on top, but always got to let those Vikings.
QXC throwing down the GG.
He traded favorably there, but it was just too much Zerg. Killer had... he had his entire left side of the map. He had the bottom base. He just had too many bases for too long. And even if you take out all the expensive units, the Queens were there to finish the job.
Yeah, I'm looking at the units tab here. 5 Ravens, 1 Battlecruiser, 6 Vikings, 4 tanks, 8 Widow Mines versus 5 Broodlords, 4 Corruptors, 7 Queens at the end of that. Yeah, the Queens obviously proving the difference there at the end. Of course, the ability to transfuse in the late game, especially when your Queens... they don't have as many obligations as far as injecting is concerned, and Killer recognizing their value at that stage in time where every unit is so important. A simple transfuse can make your army that much better, turning a 200 out of 200 army into a 400 out of 400 army essentially, because you could theoretically transfuse all your units. Wow. What a game one. 42 minutes, 47 seconds in game number one, guys. You're watching the Winter Season Showdowns where Killer goes up 1-0 playing against QXC. Let's see if QXC can turn it around in game two. Stay tuned.